Here's the truth that no one tells us about success. Being the strong one is not a personality trait, it is a survival strategy, and it is costing us more than we know. Welcome back to another episode of Work It, Live It, Own It, the podcast where we move from burnout to brilliance. I am your hostess, SaCola Lehr, your work life harmony strategist. And today we are going to be talking about a skill that so many of us have mastered, yet hardly any of us make space to talk about. And so we're going to highlight the problem of the hidden cost of being the strong one. We're going to highlight some of the reasons behind this. And of course, I am going to align this with the Prone to Power framework and giving you some real relatable examples of how this takes shape in our everyday lives. And then, of course, I'm going to wrap it up by giving you a little challenge for this week for you to start turning this script around of being the strong one for everyone else while we remain emotionally depleted. So, first, let's talk about how we as women, especially most of us who are navigating the middle chapter of our life, or what some people term the sandwich generation, where we are taking care of kids, we may be taking care of parents, all at the same time. Now, listen, we're often praised for the capacity to handle everything. We have become the go to person at work, in our families. We're the anchor for our families, the sounding board for our friends. And the problem is that this constant output creates a mask or facade that we have become so adept at managing crises and driving results that we lose touch with our own emotional depletion. And we look strong on the outside, but inside, we're running on fumes. And we've bought into the narrative that asking for help or even taking a pause is a sign of weakness. Because if you think about it, we know how to show up professionally. We solve everyone else's problems. You support your team. You perform leadership flawlessly, all while carrying stress, grief, burnout, or loneliness. And again, from the outside, it looks incredible, but on the inside, it's survival. And so if you've ever thought to yourself, hey, I know how to succeed, but I'm not sure I know how to rest, then this episode is for you. But now let's dive into why does this happen? How did we become the strong one that everyone else relies on? Well, it happens because society and the workplace cultures have heavily rewarded the output and resilience without ever acknowledging the emotional toll that it takes to produce those results. Back in 2010, the rise of the boss babe, the boss chick, the rise and grind mentality has conditioned most of us to believe that our worth is tied to productivity. And we're taught that success requires sacrificing our well being. And because we're so used to handling it all, you stop asking for help. What is happening is we're wiring our nervous system for constant action, making the very idea of resting feels uncomfortable or even guilty. And listen, guys, I know exactly how that feels. I have lived it, and you know what? I have found myself time to time trying to revert back to that, and I have to give some tough love to myself. I've got to give myself a pep talk and realign myself and figure out what is most important to me right now. But I remember one day, this was over a decade ago, I was sitting in my car in the driveway of my home after a long day of work, gripping the steering wheel, completely exhausted and unable to go inside because I knew the moment that I walked through the door, I had other responsibilities that I needed to take care of, or perhaps I would need to solve another problem. And so I became the strong one for everyone else, but I was also completely empty. Why? Because no one ever asked me what I needed or how I felt or checked on me to see how I was doing. They just came to me for advice, to solve problems, to put out fires, or they would make decisions for themselves. But if things didn't go the way they planned, then I became the cleanup woman of how to help them rectify their problems. And so that moment in the driveway was my breaking point. And it was a moment that I realized that my strength had become my cage. I don't know how many of you have ever felt that way, but thankfully, I've written my life lessons or some of the things that I've learned in my adult life that I wish that someone had taught me or told me, or things that I had to personally experience myself into my book, Harmony Hustle for Women. And so I got an email recently from someone who's read the book and left a wonderful review about it. But they also emailed me personally to tell me that the book was timely because they were in that season where they were tired of being the strong one. And so they had to sit down and have that difficult conversation with their loved ones, with their friends. And they were prepared. They had to prepare themselves for that conversation because, as you know, when you're the strong one, whether it's at work or in your personal life, it is challenging for us to truly express how we feel, especially when we come off being the strong, resilient one all the time. And thankfully, the people that are in her life recognized, hey, I do rely on you a lot. I do add pressure to you. And so now she's getting phone calls from family and friends that say, hey, I just want to come and spend some time with you. Not, hey, can you help me with this? Or can you believe what happened to me today? And then immediately she's having to jump into proactive mode and trying to help other people solve their problems. And so now she's enjoying spending time with loved ones and friends. And that's what I want all of us to be able to do. Not every time when you see someone's number pop up on your phone, like, oh God, what is it now? What happened now? Right? Or even at work. I have another friend, a previous guest on the podcast, tell me that she had to actually sit down and have a conversation with her supervisor and say, hey, I know that I coach a lot of people, I mentor a lot of people on my job, but rarely does anyone check in on me to see how I'm doing. Yes, I'm doing well. Yes, the numbers speak for themselves, but I also need support. And she had to speak up and ask for that and say to her manager or her supervisor, hey, I need you to check in on me from time to time just to see how I'm doing. If there's any support that I need, we have to step up and we have to have those conversations. If we don't, we will continue to suffer in silence and in our guilty cage or our strength cage. And so, how does this tie into the prone to power framework that I had to create for myself over a decade ago? Well, just to give you a recap, prone stands for prioritize, rejuvenate, organization, navigating boundaries, and empowerment. And if you want a free gift, stay tuned after this episode and you'll learn how to download your free prone to power worksheet. And so, P for prioritizing comes into play with this particular topic because prioritizing is not about managing your calendar. It's about managing your energy. It's about recognizing that you cannot pour from an empty cup and that your well-being is a non-negotiable priority, not an afterthought. We have to stop treating the priorities in our life, whether it's our health, whether it's our emotional well being, our spirituality, whatever it is, if it is a priority that helps you thrive, we have to stop putting that on the back burner. Make it a non negotiable. So, how do we start dismantling this mask, this facade of being the strong one 24/7? Well, we start right here. We start today. If you are carrying the weight of everyone else's world right now, I want you to know that that weight is real. You're not imagining it and you're not weak for feeling exhausted by it because you've been running on survival mode for so long. You probably forgot what it feels like just to be supported. And so you are allowed, I'm giving you your permission slip today to put some of that down. Not all of it, just some of it. I'm not telling you to do a complete overhaul, but today, just realize that you don't have to fix everything for everyone before you are allowed to rest. This week, here's my challenge for you this week. I want you to do one thing. Find one 10-minute window where you are completely unreachable for 10 minutes. Do not solve a problem. Do not answer a text. Do not fold a single piece of laundry. Just sit in your car or your bedroom, your office, and let yourself just be off the clock. That's it. Just 10 minutes of not being the strong one. If that means there is time where you are bursting out in tears may be flowing, release that stress. Let it go for 10 minutes. Just be unreachable. And remember, you can accomplish your goals and your dreams without forsaking your family, your health, and your well being, because it is time to move from burnout to brilliance. Thank you for joining me on the Work It, Live It, Own It podcast. And if this episode resonated with you, please share it with another strong one in your life who needs to hear this message. And do not forget to grab your copy of Harmony Hustle for Women, Master the Art of Thriving in Life and Career, the expanded edition, to dive deeper into the Prone to Power framework. You can find it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, pretty much everywhere books are being distributed. It is now available now. And so until next time, guys, I want you to keep working it, living it, and owning it in your everyday lives. And don't forget, 10 minutes this week, you will be completely unreachable. Until next time, guys, take care. If today's conversation resonated with you, don't just stop there. I have created a free Prone to Power worksheet that will help you put these strategies into action. Now, the Prone to Power framework is something that I created for myself over a decade ago to sustain work-life harmony. Don't forget to grab your free copy today. The link is in the show notes. Take care.